Hello, I'm Miles, and welcome to the Bite Size Marketing Podcast. This is an episode in a series that aims to make marketing easy to understand and simple for businesses of any size to implement. I hope you enjoy. Right, this week's topic is target markets. Now, in my opinion, my humble opinion, identifying your target market or markets is the most important thing that you can do as a business owner. Knowing exactly who you are appealing to or trying to target is so important to you hitting that sweet spot. I'm an enormous advocate of the sniper. I refer to it as the sniper rifle technique. All right, picking your target and going for them rather than the scattergun approach in terms of trying to hit a lot of people and hope you hit your ideal target. Laura, I know the inevitable what's your niche question. We'll come on to that in a second. It doesn't apply to everyone, right? So I'm going to try and be quite general with my comments today, but hopefully this will give you some help when it comes to identifying your target market. So I think there are different approaches for different sectors, right? So definitely in terms of a B2C, so business to consumer basis, you really want to try and be thrashing out your target market avatar. Now, I would absolutely try and suggest that you come up with a primary target market where the majority of your activity appeals to. And depending on what you offer, maybe you're going to come up with a secondary target market. And I'll give you a topical example. So I've taken on a new client in the last couple of weeks, and I'm not going to say exactly who they are, right? But they sell a widget where the primary target market is the sons or daughters of the secondary target market. Do you see where I'm going here? So not all products and services will just have one target. Maybe there's multiple targets, but I would say for a small business, just stay with two. That's not to say that there won't be more. All right. Like this is never going to be an exact science, but this is about where you focus your efforts. So identify a primary target, go after them, and then identify a secondary target and spend less time going after them. The third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the one-offs, don't worry about them for now. Don't target them. Target your primary, target your secondary. So with a B2C, and this is general, but with a B2C business, you want to think about creating your ideal avatar. I'm doing this because it is very sort of cliched and almost annoys me as much as niching, right? But thinking about whom it is that you are targeting. So think about gender, think about age, think about their socioeconomic demographics. And if you are selling a product online, I would suggest, especially if you're using things like PPC or advertising on Facebook and socials, think about the nuances or the minutiae of your customer avatar. You know, not only where do they purchase their coffee, but what type of milk do they have in their coffee, what type of drink, you know, all that sort of fun stuff. Really dive deeply into their habits. That's the thing about marketing to people on a digital platform, is that the more information and the more nuanced you can be and specific, the more likely you are to hit your target market. Okay, so think about that if you're B2C, getting your avatar sorted out. As far as B2B is concerned, you know, think about the company profile. And again, maybe you have a primary and maybe you have a secondary. It all depends whether or not you're selling a product or a service, but you wouldn't necessarily have a personal avatar. They're looking at sort of sections of an industry. So maybe you're looking at specific types of companies. That's not to say that you won't be looking for a particular person in a particular industry, but for a B2B operation, you're more likely to be looking at a business focus. Okay. And again, you can have a primary, you can have a secondary. I know that there will be other customers that come to you, but let's not focus on them for now. Oh, the numbers are going up in terms of the views. I can see. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Right. So where to start? Now, in an ideal world where money is no object, the first place I would say that you should start is market research. Okay, doing market research and good quality market research can really sort of pay dividends. Now, there are a couple of different types of market research that you can do, and you may hear some of these terms bandied around. So they're normally abbreviated in terms of qual and quant, qualitative market research and quantitative market research. So I always have to refer to my notes for this because I can get them mixed up. But qualitative market research is all about the numbers, the stats. Okay, so this is all done around sort of detailed surveys and really get into the nitty gritty with your qualitative market research. In terms of your quantitative, then this is all about words and meanings. This will be sort of like holding focus groups and getting people's opinions about things, which won't necessarily derive in detailed stats. Okay, so there's qualitative and quantitative market research, and then you've got sort of things like vox pops, right? Being out there on the street and just asking people for their opinion. You can, do if you're selling foods, you could do like a taste test, asking people. You could do a blind taste test against maybe a market leader. But the one thing I'm going to say that I hope you take in the nature it's intended, and I've written this and I've underlined it. Please don't ask friends and family, right? Please don't ask friends and family in terms of your research, because they're always going to give you a slightly skewed opinion. Okay. Your mum's going to think you're the best, right? And you've got the best idea. Go out there and ask some strangers, because you're going to get a much, much better, more honest opinion in terms of you doing some market research, right? So in an ideal world, start off identifying your target market with some market research. If money doesn't allow, or if you want to if you're already an established business and you're trying to reevaluate your target market, then look at your current customer base. Try and do a little bit of an analysis of who your customers are. How are you keeping track of your customers? Do you have a CRM system? If you have a CRM system, then filtering those can be an easy task. But have a look, see if there are any sort of commonalities. So with my current database of clients, they come from generally they've got dirty hands, right? So they generally are from an industrial, engineering, construction, or a manufacturing background. That just seems to be who I am attracting towards me and who I seem to have the most success with. So in order for me to keep selling my best sellers, maybe they're the people that I should be trying to appeal to. And I do, right? So look at your current database and identify who your current customers are. The other thing that you can do is look at your competitors. So any good business, unless you're extremely lucky and don't have any competitors, right? Any business out there will know who your competitors are and look closely at who they're targeting. Now, this may not be obvious, but look at their sort of their public persona. Look at their website. Look at their social media. Look at where they are in terms of their social media. And think about why they are there. So have a close look at your competitors, because it may well give you some good ideas into who your target market should be, who to sell to. Maybe look at your products and services. Maybe think about having a bit of a deeper dive. Maybe you're going to start to segment your products and giving them individual targets. Maybe you've got multiple products and services. So maybe you need to be thinking about a slightly different target market for each of those. Now, one of the biggest things I think is a bit of a go-to is thinking about the questions that people are having and the problems in terms of what your product solves, and work it back from there. So if you have a product that solves a particular problem, then look at who is wanting that problem solved. Does that make sense? Like, work it backwards. That's another way of finding your target market. Right. Now, here's a bit of a, I always try and keep these bite-sized things quite lowbrow, right, rather than highbrow and going into the detail. But I think I just want to touch on this slightly, because the more you get into target market, the more you may find that you get involved with socio-economic demographics. So you may well have heard of, oh, I appeal to, let's say, and they're referred to in general terms like down market males, if you like, C2DE bracket. Let me talk to you a little bit about the socio-demographics and how those are categorized. Okay, so the National Office of Statistics, this is where this information is pulled from, and this is really useful for targeting generally of advertising, above the line advertising, but it's also very important to understand which bracket your customers slot into. So they're graded on a social grade, and the latest information will be based on the censuses happen every 10 years. So the latest set of data that we got goes back to 2011 census. Now, they are bracketed A, B, C1, C2, D, and E. Don't ask me why it's C1, C2. Don't ask me why it didn't just go A, B, C, D, E, and F, right? But it doesn't. So it's bracketed A, B, C1, C2, D, and E. And all of these different brackets have different people within it. They do group some of these together. So A and B are often grouped together, and they would be the higher and the intermediate management in terms of the job roles that they take, or they'd be a high performing administrative professional. Sorry, people calling me. Why are people calling me? In terms of their occupations, and they take up 22% of this overall group. Okay, so you'd think that perhaps it would be a little bit smaller than that, but these groups are quite evenly split. In terms of the C1, they'll be your supervisors, your clerical people, and your junior managers, and they take up 31% of this overall group. And this is according to the 2011 census. Then you've got the C2. Now, they'll be skilled manual occupations. Then you've got D and E. They'll be semi-skilled or unskilled or unemployed, and they take up 26. So A and B take up 21%, C1 take up 31%, C2 take up 21%, and then you've got D and E that take up 26%. So just as an example, when I worked in the betting industry, I operated fixed odds betting, so numbers products, lottery type games, and the people that we targeted our advertising to were from the C2, D, and E bracket. So they were the skilled and manual occupations, and then the sort of limited skilled, unskilled, and the unemployed. Now, I wasn't targeting unemployed people, but this is a general bracket in terms for where I spent my advertising money from in terms of appealing to people that played my products the most. Okay. So you can dive deeper into lots of sort of data that gets pulled out of the censuses, and it goes into sort of their habits, their behaviors, the media that they consume, what papers they read, what cereal they they buy on a weekly basis. There are all sorts of other forms of breaking these things down. You've got the Acorn, you've got Mosaic, you've got Cameo, you've got a number of other sort of different ways to skin a cat and actually look at the minutiae of the detail. All right. There's lots of information out there. And the more you drill down on your target, the more accurate you can be in terms of the targeting of your marketing. There we go. That was quite heavy for me. Right. Let's lighten things up again. So why don't you use some social tools? So if you're on a social network, and maybe we should start by thinking about, do you need to be on all social networks? Where are your target market? Now, depending on your resources, I would suggest that to most small businesses, you need to be quite targeted on the social platforms that you're active on. So think about your target market and then approach the social media that they most reside. Yeah. And focus on that one. And only when you have enough sort of time and resource do you branch out. I very rarely recommend that people are on every single social platform, because really you can't focus on any of them or make any traction on any of them. So if you are engaging on, say, Instagram, then think about the analytics, look at the analytics, look at how people are interacting with you. If you've got a website, then think about Google Analytics or some other analytical tool which will allow you to see who is interacting with you on your website. And this will all give you good ideas as to who your target market should be. The other thing is thinking about maybe using the analytics on your CRM or on your email marketing system, again, to be more specific, to be targeted. So as an example, you might send out an email shot, and then looking at the analytics, you might see that a number of people have opened it. I tell you, I'm a popular guy today. Yeah. Sorry about that. So email marketing, you send out an email campaign and people, you then get to look at the data for them. So maybe you think, well, that person opened it twice. So they've come back in and they clicked on a couple of links and they've spent a little bit of time looking around the article. So maybe I'll follow that up. Yeah. With a follow-up email around the article that they clicked on. So being specific, being targeted, it's far more effective than you may think. Now, close your ears, Laura, because we're about to talk about niching. Now, this is a buzzword, right? It's a little bit like brand awareness. Or I can see the chat's lit up straight away. I think Laura's left the chat. Oh dear. So some people will tell you that you must niche, and I'm going to say to you that that's not always true. Okay. However, identifying a clear advantage if you do have a niche is important, and then you can build your business around being the specialist in that area, especially in a crowded marketplace. Then I think that niching or specializing is important. However, don't be sucked in to excluding the larger market, if you like, by just talking to a very closed off small section of the market. So think long and hard before you decide to niche with intent. How's that? I'm going to move on, Laura. Keep it simple. Like, don't overcomplicate things. And what I'm going to say to you as well as like a really good practical bit of advice is, like, be flexible. Don't be hard on yourself. Your target market can change. All right. You can update it. When was the last time you actually looked at your business and thought, who is my ideal candidate or target. Reassess it, and then think about looking at your optics with a fresh pair of eyes. So have a look at your website. Do you think it appeals to your target? Do you think that your messaging is appealing to your target? And one of the things we've spoken about before in terms of websites is we all tend to make sure our websites talk about us, when in fact, really, you want to think about those questions that your customers are asking, and does your website answer them? So be quite critical with that. And I'm going to say employ a listen, modify, and test approach when it comes to agreeing what your target or who your target market is. Having a target is better than not having a target. And I can use loads of analogies. The one I like to use the most is a fishing analogy, right? So you can fish with a big net, you can throw your net out, and you can catch lots of fish, but you can catch lots of fish that you don't want to catch. And you can waste quite a lot of time on sorting through those fish to find the ones that you're looking for. Now, if the particular fish that you like to catch has a particular penchant for a particular type of worm, then if you use that particular type of worm on that hook and just fish with that, you are going to catch your target market every single time. Oh, I managed to get in there an analogy about using a worm. I love it. So there we go. That really is all we got time for today. I hope that that's given you a little insight into some of the little hints and tips that you can do to try and drill down and find your target market. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to go and have a little look at the chat and to see what's going on. Yeah, she's run. Her ears are closed. Yeah. She's saying very true. Yeah, pick one social media. Honestly, I can't stress how important that is. And yeah, she's saying here, like, build a relationship. This is my general argument over brand awareness and brand engagement. And I did a guest speaker slot this morning with the Chamber of Commerce, and we touched on this. And a lot of people talk about brand awareness, and they say it's really important. It's important to do brand awareness. I call bullshit on this, right? Because as a small business, you want to make sure that your time and your money is as effective as it possibly can be. And just doing something for awareness, it's sort of a little bit futile. Leave the awareness things to the big brands, the Coca-Colas of this world. They do it really, really well, okay? But they've got the money to waste, if you like, in order to do that, in order to create the awareness. You haven't. You need to be more specific and targeted with your time and your money. So try and engage people. Try and have a conversation. So some people might say, oh, Miles, you're doing brand awareness by doing this webinar. Well, I disagree. I'm intentively going out there and trying to engage with people. And look, we're getting engagement. Laura is engaging with me. And that's all I want. And even if Laura's the only person that I engage with today, it's much, much better than me just becoming aware by somebody, right? Which is, in my opinion, just slightly pointless as a small business. Yep, it's all about depth of the relationship. Yeah. Oh, thank you very much indeed, Laura. That's very nice of you to say so. So there we go. We've come to the end of another Bite-Sized Marketing Tuesday lunchtime. That's what we do at 12:30. We go live. Now we've got something to look forward to. Coming up on the 8th of November, our special guest is going to talk all about branding, and it's the fantastic Sapna. Now, if you do or do not know Sapna, then you will do in November. She's a fantastic lady. She's got a really compelling story to talk about. I'm not going to give it all away, but you don't want to miss the 8th of November. She's a fantastic, fantastic lady. Come on and enjoy the show. Get it in the diary for 12:30 on the 8th of November. So thank you very much indeed. This is me signing out. I like to keep things to 30 minutes, as you know. If you do want to get in touch, please reach out. I'm challenging you. Send me an inappropriate GIF in order to say hello on the old WhatsApp. Why don't you? We all enjoy that sort of action. All right, you have a fantastic day, everybody, and ta-ta for now. Thank you so much indeed for listening to this bite-sized podcast. If you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to contact me. You can email me on miles@milesmarketing, all one word, .co.uk. Or why don't you send me an inappropriate GIF? You can do that on WhatsApp. It's +44 754 069 5785. And however you get in touch, please do let me know what you think of the podcast. Let me know if you put any of these tips into action and what the outcome was. So I hope you have enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.